Hey friends, welcome back. I am Jason, and in the comment section, really quickly, if you had to choose three items only to put in your pack, if you had to do a long distance movement, let's say right now I said, hey man, you gotta go 50 miles right now. Grab three things, throw them in a pack, and get started. What would those three most important items be? I'm gonna let you pause the video. I'm gonna give you some time to think this over, and I want you to leave it in the comment section before we go any further, before I skew your opinion about what items you would bring. I want you to leave that in the comment section, and then we'll continue. What three items would you bring, Maggie? Bring snacks? Maggie would bring snacks. Wouldn't it be awesome to be like a dog and just be able to drink out of any puddle that comes along? To be clothed, dressed for any weather conditions, right now, just ready to go at a moment's notice. You could stop along the way and kill some stuff, perhaps, and just eat it raw. Gosh. Being a dog would be pretty, and they have the stamina, have the stamina and the speed, just at a moment's notice. Maggie doesn't need to warm up before she chases the squirrel off the property. She just gets after it. Really quickly, if you haven't hit the thumbs up already, please do so. It helps the video out a lot, and I'd be really grateful for it. Now that you've left your comment with your three items, most important three items, I'm gonna fill you in on what my three top priority items would be. If you said right now, Jason, you gotta go do 50 miles, and it's gonna be miserable, and you're gonna hate life, but you gotta get it done. What are the three things that you would bring? Well, those three things are in my pack right now. Number one on my list would be water. Right here, it'd be water. And it'd be a way to make water safe to drink, in which I didn't have to boil it, I didn't have to make fires, I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I would need a way to gather, collect, carry a little bit of water and be on my way and just continue beating feet. Now, I choose a Grail water filter like this one. Mostly, not because it's the greatest filter. I mean, it is a really, really good water filter, but mostly because it's also a water bottle. I can carry 24 ounces of water in this water bottle with me. So what I would do in that situation is, before I even started walking, I would go to my water source, maybe a nice flowing, hopefully crystal clear creek like this, but maybe not. And I would fill up my belly with water. The best place to carry water is in you. If you're not hydrated, your body is not hydrated, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to be carrying water in a bottle or a water bladder or something like that in your pack. The best place to carry water by far is in your body. So fill up your belly before you begin, and then fill this up and just be on your way. And you can be sipping as you go until you come across your next water source. Now, in a lot of places, like let's say you're in the deserts of Arizona somewhere, and there aren't a lot of water sources, natural water sources, you might be in trouble, and you might need to carry a significant amount more water than this, because it's a longer distance between resupply of water. I don't know, it's always going to be situationally dependent, but around here, in my area, in my neck of the woods, I can't go very far at all without finding another water source. Generally speaking, the roads are following some sort of creek. There's some small little branches and streams and spring heads everywhere. So if I have something like this, I could stay hydrated, no problem whatsoever, without carrying any additional water. I could start empty. I could start with this completely empty. And I know within about a half mile of walking, for sure, I'm gonna find another place where I can fill this water bottle up. So staying hydrated is going to be key. If you're not hydrated, your body's not gonna work properly. You're gonna get colder, you're gonna get hotter. Everything's not gonna work well because you're not properly hydrated. And you're gonna be burning through it. If you're covering ground, especially in the warmer months of the year, even in the colder months, but especially the warmer months of the year where you're sweating, you're gonna want water. And this one right here would be my first item that I would grab. If I could grab nothing else, this would be the one item that I would grab. My second item that I would grab is very, very important. If you told me I had to go 50 miles, I would grab this right here. A good pair of wool socks. Now, for this scenario, I should have brought this up earlier. For this scenario, this hypothetical situation, this 50-mile trek that we're talking about, I'm assuming that you are properly clothed. You are wearing the proper attire. You've got comfortable walking shoes, hiking boots. You have a rain gear, perhaps a poncho. You've got a way to protect yourself from the elements if it was starting to rain on me right now. I am dressed appropriately, okay? So let's assume that right now. But with that being said, you still need a change of socks right here, because as you walk, your feet are going to sweat, and I don't care how breathable your footwear is. I don't care what kind of Gore-Tex fancy unobtainium fabric that you are wearing that they use to go to Mars and back. It doesn't matter. Your feet are going to perspire. You're going to get wet feet, or crossing streams and stuff like that. You're going to get wet feet, and if your feet get wet and they stay wet, your feet are going to start to fall apart. You're going to start to get blisters. You're going to start to get chafing. You're going to start to get raw, open wounds. And once that happens, once your feet are done, you are done. And if you can't continue walking because your feet are just tore to pieces and it's so excruciatingly painful, you're going to be in a bad spot. So having a change of socks, and what I do whenever I've done longer distance movements, like for example, was it last year? Year before last, maybe. I proposed a hypothetical situation of walking 40 miles through the desert with only a single bottle of water. And a lot of people in the comment section said, no problem, I could do it. Well, I went out and tested that. I tried to walk 40 miles with only a single bottle of water and nothing else. And it became very, very difficult for a lot of reasons. Heat exhaustion. I started to hear and feel my heartbeat in my head. I stopped sweating for the most part. Super dehydrated, heat exhaustion was setting in. My feet didn't have too many issues. I had a couple of hot spot blisters kind of forming because I did not have a spare change of socks. So that was an issue, but it was really, really difficult. 30 miles and I was toast, mostly because of the dehydration and the heat. We did it in the summertime. But having a change of socks, just a change of socks as you're walking along, just swapping those socks out on a regular basis, taking short breaks, not long breaks. If you take too long of a break, inflammation starts to set in. And once that's the body's healing process. And once that inflammation starts to set in, it becomes really, really painful, extremely difficult to start going again. So short 5-10 minute breaks, swap your socks out, grab a little snack, grab a little bit of water, and then carry on. And you usually can continue on as long as you're fueling your body. So, but a spare pair of socks is going to be a super, super handy thing. And like what I would do is, and I have done this in the past, is like on my pack here, if I'm wearing a pack, you can do this on your belt or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but I would take my wet pair of socks and I would drape them over my pack like this and cinch it down. And as I'm walking, hopefully the sun's out. Obviously, if it's pouring down rain, this won't work very effectively. Put this underneath your rain gear, perhaps. But as I'm walking along, these can be drying out as I'm walking in the breeze. And that is the way to do it. And just keep swapping those socks out, keeping your feet dry. Lots of ways to skin this cat. I mean, there's, foot powders. You can use various bandages and different things. Even duct tape has worked quite well on my feet when I've started to get hot spots. But nothing is more important than having a spare pair of socks. That is crucial. Now, what's next on my list of the three things that I would grab if I had to walk 50 miles right now? Whew, that would be rough. If you told me I had to go walk 50 miles right now, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be painful. This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt a lot. I would not look forward to that. The first 20 miles, in my experience, the first 20 miles is a breeze. No problem. I could go walk 20 miles right now with nothing. I could leave this behind. I could take off out on the road right up there and start walking. And the first 20 miles would be a breeze. I would have no issues whatsoever. It's after that 20 miles that these things that I'm talking about really, really, really matter. Next on my list, the third thing would be snacks right here. I highly recommend a way to replenish the electrolytes that you're burning through, the sodium and potassium primarily that you're burning through as you are exercising, as you're being active. If you can't replace those electrolytes, your body will start cramping up, your legs will start cramping up, your body will shut down. I know this from experience. I've done some long distance movements, I've done some long distance bike riding. One time I rode a bike, a BMX bike. A single speed, you know what a BMX bike is, a single speed BMX bike. I rode it over 90 miles in one day in North Georgia. I rode it from Swanee, Georgia to Dahlonega and back. And if you've ever been in North Georgia, you know what the terrain is like. It's very steep. It was difficult. Going there was rough, but what wasn't too terrible. Coming back was really difficult. Legs started cramping up, and I was replenishing. I didn't know what I knew now. I wasn't as educated on replenishing the proper nutrients and electrolytes in my body as I do now. I was eating. I mean, I ate food and stuff like that, so it worked. But still, body started cramping down. My quads started cramping up, and once your body shuts down, you are shut down. You got to stop and wait for your body to recover. I mean, maybe we don't have time for that in this scenario, but having salty, high fat, high calorie foods is going to be my third choice. Macadamia nuts are incredible. There's been some endurance athletes, some elite athletes that have covered 100 miles in one single movement, eating nothing but salted macadamia nuts because they're super high in fat. I believe of all the nuts, they are the fattiest. And when they're covered in salt like this, you can replenish you're replenishing that sodium that you're losing. So highly recommend these, as these are one of my preferred go-to trail foods right here if I've got to go a long distance. It's just hard to beat it. Fat is fuel, and that's what you want. You want high fat content foods right there. Protein, excellent, yes, of course, but high fat is going to be super important. All right, guys, well, that wraps up my top 3 items that I would select if you said, hey, Jason, 50 miles, go, right? Those are the 3 things. I would have a way to get myself a drink of water. I would have a way to protect my feet, keep my feet dry right here. And then I have fuel right here to replenish the stuff that I'm burning through. Those are my 3 things. I'd love to hear what you think about this in the comments section. Any of you guys that have experienced some long range movement, some through hikers perhaps, let me know what your top 3 items would be if you had to head out right now and you could only take 3 items with you. Really appreciate that in the comment section, guys. If you haven't hit the thumbs up already, please do. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And until next time, what's the worst that could happen? Let's just go on 3.